Good evening, everyone. So I am Camille McCall, one of the career counselors here at UHD. I am in the main career center, which is in the one-way building on the fourth floor. So welcome to interviewing. So by show of hands, online and in person, who has been interviewed? Okay, how many hands are online? One, okay. So four people, okay, have been on interviews. Who has conducted an interview? Anyone online? No, okay, so we have two in person. So the people who've conducted an interview, I'm sorry, who have been on an interview, was it formal? No nothing. Anyone in the chat? Oh, one of the bottom. Did you find it? Yeah, I think, I don't know, I just lowered the volume a little bit. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Okay, good. So one person said it was nerve wracking. Anyone else? No? So I guess those who did say they've been in an interview and didn't. So this means that they like doing interviews or are very comfortable. So I can tell you most people are not comfortable doing interviews. And with interviewing, key is practice. Especially if you don't like speaking in front of audiences or speaking in front of people or strangers, um, it can be nerve wracking. So here's the overview of what we're going to talk about tonight. So we have the purpose of the interview, what employers are looking for, preparing effective resumes, and preparing for the interview. So when it comes to interviews, it's not just a one-day thing. Okay, I have an interview next week. It's not just that. There is preparation that needs to that's involved. Okay, so purpose of the interview for the employer, why should they hire you instead of someone else? That's a typical question in most traditional interviews. So knowing this as an interviewee is helpful, but also think of it from the employer side. Also, what can you do for their company and their employees? Because the bottom line is that it's about the employer, not just about you, it's the employer. And would they want to sit next to you all day? Employers want to know if you're a good fit for their culture, for the office. For you, you want to sell your strengths and skills, talking about your experiences. Of course, you don't want to launch into long stories. You have to be mindful of the employer's time. And then your resume is your outline. Use your resume. In your summary, you'll have your written elevator pitch. When they ask you, tell me something about yourself or tell me about yourself, you have your summary. It's good to memorize that summary. And then also research the company to see if it is a good fit for you. Because when you're interviewing, it's not just you being interviewed, you're interviewing the employer as well. When you see it that way, it can be a little less nerve wracking because you're seeing, okay, not just if you're a good fit for them, but are they a good fit for you? What's the environment going to be like? A lot of times you can look on places like Glassdoor to see how the company rates, how the CEO rates, interview questions. There are reviews on there. So do your research. That is really, really important. So what are employers looking for? Regardless of your industry, whether you're going into psychology, political science, history, going into teaching, whatever it is, employers are looking for basically the same thing. So critical thinking. Another way of saying critical thinking is emotional intelligence. How do you handle stress on the job? How do you handle conflict on the job? When you have a project to do and it's a tight deadline and you have so many things going on, how do you handle that? Communication. Communication is key. Communication is the basis for life. If there is no communication, things break down, things die. It is very important when it comes to communication. Now, just to go into that a little bit more, communication is not just speaking, it's also your body language. We communicate in different ways. We communicate verbally, non-verbally as well, which is our eyes, our facial expressions, our body. So when you're in an interview, be mindful of that, especially if the employer says something that may be a red flag or something that you don't like. If you're prone to making certain facial expressions when you hear something you don't like, work on that. Practice in the mirror. I have learned over the years to have a poker face. So when it comes to those interviews, work on your poker face. Leadership is also important. When you come in to a job, especially when you're first starting out, are you looking to see how you can step up, how you can assist? Professionalism, going back to the critical thinking and emotional intelligence. How do you interact with your internal customers, your external customers? When you're on the interview, how are you communicating to the employer? How are you presenting yourself? Regardless of the job that you're going for, you want to be professional. So whether you're going for something in construction where you may not need to wear a suit, you still need to present yourself properly. Teamwork is also important. Know yourself. So if you know that you don't like working in a team and you like maybe to work in an office in the basement or something where no one really bothers you, know that about yourself. If you like to work in a team, make sure that you let the employer know that. Technology. Nowadays, things are moving quickly. We have to stay abreast of that. So research trends. Research, when you're researching the employer, see where they stand with technology. You can look them up on LinkedIn, not just Glassdoor. You can even look them up on Indeed. There are different places where you can check out employers. Equity and inclusion. The world is multicultural, so be welcoming of people who are not like you, regardless of their station in life, regardless of their color, ethnicity, whatever it is that makes them different. Career and self-development. Do you plan to come to this company and just stay in that position? Or do you plan to contribute and grow? Now, one of the things when you're looking at the company is there room for you to move up? Are you able to develop yourself? Now, there are instances where you do the self-development outside and bring those contributions to the company and maybe even talk to your supervisor or whatnot and see if that's something that can be brought to the company. Any questions so far? Yes. Glassdoor. Yes. Mhm. So Glassdoor is similar to Indeed. One of the things I like about it is that you see the rating of the CEO. They also have the interview questions. I went for a job several years ago at Baker Ripley, and I looked on there to see what sort of questions they would ask, and I actually memorized those questions. And when I went for the interview, the first interview, they asked me those very same questions, and I was prepared. Um, there are a lot of companies that ask situational questions. Baker Ripley is one of those. So they want to know, tell me about a time that this happened or you did that. So those are really good things to know before you go. All right. So your resume is what gets you the interview. It gets your foot in the door. It gets the employer's attention and lets them know, hey, this person, let's see if we can get this person in and learn more about them. See if we like them and if they like us. So looking for a job outside of higher education, because looking for a job in higher education is a little different. So we're going to focus on jobs outside of academia. If you do have questions about that, feel free to put it in the chat. So contribution based. How did you make a difference where you worked? So on your resume, you're not listing every single thing that you've done all of your entire working career. Typically, it's the last 10 years. One reason for that is to avoid ageism. You find nowadays people between the ages, or I should say over 35, can get discriminated against. So if you have your job, or you have jobs on there from like the year 2000, then they may want to, kind of speculate, oh, I wonder how old this person is, and are they up to date when it comes to technology? Do they know the current trends? So that's one of the reasons we say 10 years. Now, if you're going for a position, let's say in the government, so the city, the state, or the federal government, then you would list everything on there. And that is a different resume as well. Typically, you would want your resume to be one page. Again, if you have a lot of experience, a lot of certificates, projects, things that you've done, it's okay to have 2 pages, but keep in mind that employers take less than 10 seconds to read your resume. So you want most of your information to be on that first page and then in the first half of that page. Any question? Okay. So these are 2 examples of resumes. These can also be found on our website. If you go onto UHD.edu, quick links, you go to Career Center and you go to sample resumes, you will get copies of this. This is the format that we suggest. It is simple, it's pretty streamlined. So it's easy to read, not just for a person, but also for the applicant tracking system. If you have too many icons on there, too many lines, if the lines are, let's say you have separation between the things that you have on the page, like on the right side, you may have your skills, down at the bottom, you may have something else, and then on the left side, you may have your contact information. It can throw off the applicant tracking system, and your resume may not get to the hiring manager or the recruiter. Okay. So, preparing for the interview. Now, we are in Houston, and Houston traffic is terrible. So if you are driving for your interview, try to leave half an hour more than the time that it takes to get there, just so you can account for any traffic, any accidents, especially if you're taking like 45, which always has some sort of accident on there. You want to be at least 15 minutes early. So let's say you're 30 minutes early. You don't want to sit in the office there 30 minutes. Maybe you can be in your car or sit at a cafe or something like that, and then show up 15 minutes before. Okay, online, 10 minutes before in terms of being on there, but getting started 15 to 20 minutes before, just to account for any technological issues, whether it's Zoom, WebEx, Teams, you never know. So always make sure that you start early. Bring copies of your resume. If you know it's a panel interview, and let's say you know how many people, bring the amount of resumes for those, so each person can have one just in case. Make sure you greet everyone in your interview. When you step in the office for the interview, make sure you greet whoever it is at the front desk. You never know what they may say about you. All right, pausing before answering questions. I've been saying a lot of but when you're in the interview, try not to say that. So instead of saying you pause before answering your questions. Any questions, comments? Saying yes, I'm sure you counted, I don't know, like 60 already since I've been here. I just know that you make an impression as soon as you get out of your car or step in the building, you know who's watching you or who's interacting with. That is true. And maybe even going back a little further, because let's say you have to park in a parking lot, or if you're driving, you don't want to end up, flipping the bird to somebody on the highway, and then it turns out, that person might be the interviewer. So always be mindful. So matter of fact, from the time you leave your house, get into interview mode. Let's see. Now, making sure that you answer the entire question. And if you're not sure or you forget because you're nervous, just ask or verify. And again, pausing before answering questions does help. Okay. Maintain comfortable eye contact. So comfortable is in there because you can literally just look at the employer the whole time in their eyes, which can be uncomfortable. So you make enough eye contact, you look away. Maybe if you have a paper or something, you look down at the paper, look at the employer. But eye contact is very, very important. There was an article that said, I think it was maybe 39% of employers said that recent college graduates who interviewed had little to no eye contact. So that's very important. Your posture, your attire, no hand jewelry except for like a wedding band or something like that. So no excessive jewelry. Any questions, comments? Okay, so there are different types of interviews. Some may know that, some may not. You have the traditional one where you're meeting with another person, usually the hiring manager, maybe a recruiter, and you're discussing your credentials. Now, the informational interview, it's less formal, and you're meeting with someone at the company so you can learn more about it. And it may not be necessarily for a job at that time, but it could be like during an internship or before an internship. It could be even for like, let's say like freshmen who are trying to decide what they want to go into, or even for higher class students who may be trying to change their majors or thinking about changing their majors. An informational interview is really good. You can get in contact with someone at the company to learn more about it. Now there's the panel interview. Those of you who work here at the college or who are familiar with academia know that 99.9% of the time it is a panel interview, and it's at least 2 interviews that you have. So these are not necessarily the people in that department that you are applying for, that you're interviewing for. It's people in other departments so that there can be a varied opinion in terms of the interview instead of just one person or one set of people making a decision. Okay. Working interview, usually it's gonna be maybe like in the creative job. So like maybe an artist, a graphic artist, possibly someone in a trade position where you would have a working interview. So the employer wants to know, okay, do you really have the skills that you say you have? And it's usually about an hour or two. It shouldn't be too long because since it's like an interview, you're not really getting paid for it. And then the group interview, it's not like the panel interview. The group interview is actually more than one candidate that's applying for the position. I remember I went for a position at HEB and it was like maybe 10 of us in the room interviewing at the same time. So, any questions? Yes. Nose piercings. For an interview, I would say no, unless you're going for a tattoo artist position. That's the only way. If it's not that, no nose piercings. Any other questions? Okay, so hopefully those in the room can read this. I'm sorry it's so small, but these are interview questions, some sample interview questions. These are behavioral questions or situational questions where they want to know, tell me how you handle this situation or describe a time. So is anyone in the room or online brave enough to want to answer one of these sample questions? I'll even let you pick a question and answer it. Anyone? I have a prize for you. You can come get it in my office if you're not here. Yeah, okay. Number 6. Let's see. Number 5 is over here. Okay. Okay, so for those online, I'm gonna read it. It says, describe a situation where you had to make a difficult decision. Oh,
All right. So there was a time where like I had like two friends, good friends. Do we always have to be like related to like job? It should be work related. Okay. Okay. Well, I was working for this company, right? And I had two friends who was working with us, and one of them was late, right? And the boss, the high up, was looking at me because these are the people like I brought on, right? So in this situation, I had to like, first of all, I had to hold my friend accountable. Like, you're making all of us look bad. And then I had to, so I sat him down by himself and talked to him and tell him how I felt and what other people felt. And then I went to the boss and just reassured him that, it was a mistake and that next time, we would do better. The large.
got a t-shirt. And we have another question. Mhm. You're muted, Veronica.
Oh, I'm sorry. I could, so what, I could barely hear what you said.
Okay,
What you
there you
say
go.
again?
Go ahead. Which one you want to pick?
I was trying to see them because I was thinking like it's larger screen, but I can't. So yeah, I got some old eyes over here.
Okay.
I think it was saying number 6 is give an example of a time you went above and beyond. Let me see. I don't know that one. Okay.
Would you like to put it in the chat? Because we're not able to hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can anyone else online hear her? Okay. Number 9 for Felicia. Okay. So tell me about a time when you had to balance multiple priorities or projects simultaneously. Oh, I had that today. What's your answer, Felicia?
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You're muted.
No, I was saying, can you hear me?
Hold on
Okay.
1 second, Felicia. We're checking the audio.
Okay.
We're gonna try something. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay, yeah. So pretty much my balance would be from, say I have work and then I have college and then homework. I do have to doctor's appointments, but how I usually do that is like say sometimes I will have to go to school events or go to school things before I have to go to work, which that would be between 12 and all that. I go to work and then after work, say sometimes I would have to get off early or get off at a certain time, so I can make it to like, a school event or something important that I have to go to. But yeah, for the appointments, doctor's appointments, that'll have to be before or after work. And then, after work, I have to, make sure I have enough time so I'm able to complete to do all my homework or whatever, I have to do for the next day. That's how I pretty much balance everything every day.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. So my office is S402 in the one main building. Come see me. I will have a T-shirt for you. Now, remember that this is an interview. So when you're asked that question or you're asked these questions, keep it job related. Don't mention anything about doctors because then they can start thinking, oh, will this person be out a lot because of doctor's appointment? Are they sick and are they just waiting for their benefits to kick in? So just be mindful when you're answering the questions that you keep it job related. And then also try to keep it to maybe about a minute when you're answering the questions. Always be mindful of the employer's time. Now, going back to question 5, you see what the employer is looking for when they ask you to describe a situation where you have to make a difficult decision. They're looking for how you make decisions. They're looking for critical thinking, the ability to weigh the pros and cons. For number 9, tell me about a time when you had to balance multiple priorities or projects simultaneously. They're looking for time management skills, organization, and the ability to multitask effectively. Now, we all know that multitasking is a myth. It's not really true, not multitasking, because if you have 6 things to do and you're doing them at the same time, 5 of those things are not going to get done properly. So you want to, what you say, what we call switch tasking, So you work on one thing for a certain amount of time, move to the next one, work on that, and then move to the next one. I know it's hard to say, and sometimes it's even harder to do, but you will see that your productivity will actually increase when you do it that way, switch tasking. Okay? Anyone else wanted to get a prize? Did Veronica put her? Number 6. Okay, so you want to give an example of a time when you went above and beyond?
Yes, can you hear me now?
You want to try speaking again? Okay, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is on interview questions or just on the job, period?
So it's an interview question and you want to keep it job related.
So I can give you, my example would be when I went over and beyond for a client that I was working with. Is that good or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so I work with this client so I'm a realtor by trade, and I worked with this client about 2-3 years ago. And first of all, I started out working with him as he was trying to rent a property, but everybody was turning him down because he had insurance to be able to rent you when they call it a day, even though it may not be a dangerous job, but that's what it's considered. So anyway, I worked with him for 2 years, and normally most realtors wouldn't work for nobody like that, but I went over with him because I know he was a first-time home buyer. So I showed him that I educated him, first of all, on the process, because he went from wanting to rent to becoming a homeowner. And so I made sure that I educated him. Like I gave him resources. I actually even met with him and just kind of went over the full process. Like I kind of did like a mini home buyers class just for him. And so it did take about 2 years, and finally he ended up buying a house. But a lot of times, like even the people in my company, they was like, why you just, you should have been letting him go. I said, well, no, sometimes it takes people, you have to walk with people because it's a big decision, first of all. And a lot of times, first time home buyers, they be nervous. So I just made sure that he felt comfortable with the process. I provided him anything he needed. I just went over and above and beyond what I know that other agents would have done. So that's what I did.
That's a great example of going above and beyond. Now, what you all may have noticed is, so we have something called the STAR method. So you give the situation, you say the task that needed to be done, the action that was taken, and then the result. So you keep that in mind. This way, again, remembering to be mindful of the employer's time. Usually interviews are about 30 minutes, and you don't want to launch into too long of a story. You want to give them just enough information to answer their questions. Okay, so I'll have a t-shirt for you. Also, Veronica, come and see me in S402. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. I want my t-shirt.
You said yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, any other questions regarding this?
Miss Heidi, before I do go on, I just wanted to mention I just threw the doctors in there, but I don't know.
I'm sorry, did I hear you?
You couldn't hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I was just saying I don't naturally mention about the doctors, but I just kind of had threw that in there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Understood, thank you. Okay, so continuing in our preparation stage, clothing. Traditional suits for women and men, pantsuit, skirt suit, or even a dress suit. Sorry. Preparing. So in terms of the clothing, suits, that's just the traditional wear, whether it's for a man or for a woman. Women, you could pantsuit, skirt suit, dress suit. A suit helps. Now, I know that some people may not have the attire. We have a career closet here on the fourth floor. And actually, no, the career closet is on the second floor in the basic needs department. We are partnering with them. So if you need a suit, you need clothing for an interview, come see us in South 402. You don't need to make an appointment. We're open 8 to 5. Do not come at 5 o'clock to say you need a suit, but you come before that. Come before 4:30, and we will take you downstairs and see what we have. It is free. It's clean. They're gently used, some of them. Now, if there's nothing there that fits you or that you like, we have partnerships for the women with Dress for Success Houston, and then for the men with Career Gear. Okay? So, with the clothing, solid colors, in some jobs, especially going back to my creative majors, my artistic people, you may want to wear something bright. You may want to wear orange or yellow. Do not make it so obvious. So for the men, if you want to show some color, maybe in your socks, you have maybe a bright color for your socks. Or if you want to wear a pinstripe, but try to keep it simple, try to keep it conservative. Now, if you're going for a certain type of job, so let's say you're in health and maybe you're going to work in a gym. That doesn't mean that you wear a sweatsuit. You can wear a polo, for the guys, khaki pants, slacks, same thing for the women. No sneakers, unless it's like the white ones that look fancy or what have you. Well, typically you wear a suit, you have a blazer, shoes. For women, if you're gonna wear heels, make sure you wear heels that are comfortable, not something where by the time you walk from your car to the parking lot, you're ready to take it off. So just be mindful of that. Make sure they're closed toe. I see a typo, my apologies. It should be closed toe heel. So my apologies for that. Make sure your devices are off. If you can, leave your cell phone in your vehicle. If you're taking, let's say, the bus or the train or something like that, put it in your bag. For men, try to keep it off because I know men usually don't carry bags with them. No iPads or laptops unless it's possibly a working interview. Again, if let's say it's something where you need to show a portfolio, but even with that, have a flash drive with you. Okay. It's okay if you have like a pen or pencil or a notebook. Try not to use your phone to write notes. Okay, you don't want them thinking that you're doing something else, right? Now, when it comes to your appearance, some of us like to bathe in cologne and lotion and whatnot. Keep it moderate because you never know if the person that you're interviewing with is allergic to what you're wearing. Now, it hasn't happened to me, but I remember I got in an Uber and I had this orange and lemongrass lotion and I just went crazy with it. And I was actually sitting in the front seat and he started like breathing heavily and he was like, "Oh, what are you wearing?" And I thought he was, he liked this. I said, "Oh, lemongrass and orange." And he said, "Those are the two things I'm allergic to." And I felt so terrible. I think I gave him like a $20 tip or something like that. But he had to, like, he dropped us off and he had to leave and go home. So just be mindful of your lotion and stuff like that. Tattoos, again, unless you're going for a tattoo artist position, keep the tattoos covered up as much as possible. If it's on your face, can't do much about it if you don't know how to hide it with makeup. Okay. Piercings, as we had a question, simple piercings, just the ears. If you have a nose ring, tongue ring, that sort of stuff, take it off for the interview. Once you know the culture of the company where you're working, and that's okay, then you can start wearing it. But for the interview, I suggest that you don't. Guys, even women, get a haircut. It can be really expensive these days. So there are beauty schools and barber schools where you can get discounted haircuts as well as hairstyles and getting pedicures and manicures. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Dressing, yes. So and the question was, is there a certain way that you should wear your hair, especially like men, if you have long hair? Something simple, conservative, comfortable. So he's actually, his hair is back. That's a good way to wear it. You don't have to hide it because, you know, that's you. Now, even with women or men who have afros, you wear your afro, right? That is you. There are some things that if you have to hide it or kind of tuck it away, maybe that's not the environment for you, unless you're willing to change certain things. Yeah. Any other questions? We help with basically everything when it comes to your career, when it comes to even going to grad school. So we do help with the personal statements, cover letters. We do mock interviews. So do you want to come in, schedule an appointment, and we can do a mock interview. So you come in dressed, you let us know what position that you're applying for, and we will get questions, typical questions for that position. And we will go through that with you. Also, the grad school applications, we assist you with that as well. Any other questions? Okay, so this is just another example when it comes to what you can wear for my creatives. I have to keep saying that because I know for me, I've gone on interviews and it felt like so drab, just wearing like a gray suit or a black suit or a blue suit, and wanted to have something in there that shows, you know, I'm not like everyone else kind of a thing. So you can do it with the cut of the suit for women. And I know there's a lot more for women than for men, but this is an example. And then it tells you, you know, how you can, different things that it may be seen. So it says light and bright colors, say fun, not take me seriously. But if you have, let's say, a green blouse that you can wear underneath your jacket. So it's just a peak of it that's being seen. And again, I stress, you know, if it's a conservative role that you're going for something in corporate America, you want to just keep it conservative. Okay? Any questions? For the guys, I got something for the guys. Let's see. So if you notice with the footwear, no sneakers, even with the most casual one, which is on the left side with the pink shirt. So let's say someone is going for a construction worker position. They're not gonna necessarily wear like jeans and a t-shirt unless they're going on the job site. That's a little different. If they're meeting with the foreman or owner of the company, you still want to show, it's a way of almost showing respect, and that you're taking the time to look different for the employer. Okay. And again, if you don't have the clothing, come and see us. So there's no excuse not to be dressed for your interview. Any questions? Okay. All right. After the interview, how many of you sent thank you notes? 1, 2. Okay, anyone online sent thank you notes? No. That could be the difference between you getting the job and not getting it. A thank you note is important. It reminds the employer of who you are. Nowadays, you can email it. Back in the days, 5, 10 years ago, you would be dropping it off or mailing it. So now it's a simple email. What I try to do, or what I used to do, since this is my dream job, right after the interview, as soon as I leave the office, I get on my phone and I send the interview. I'm sorry, I send a thank you note. And if you have an interview with more than one person, send each person a thank you note because they remember you. And in that thank you note, you can mention one thing that they said during the interview, and then you can just reiterate one of your skills in there. Okay? Any questions so far with that? Okay. Now, the other thing is that depending on the job, you can follow up with them, let's say in a week or so. And actually, something that I forgot to mention is the end of the interview when they ask you, do you have any questions? Make sure you have 2 to 3 questions to ask them. One of those questions can be, what are the next steps? How soon will you be making a decision? This way, you know if you have to wait a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or if it's to stay a month or what have you, to see the status of your application. When you're in that interview, or even after the interview, if you stop at the front desk or reception desk, ask for the cards of the people in the interview. You could even ask them for their contact information. That way you can send a note, you know where to send a note to, and then also you can follow up with them. Hey, this is so-and-so, oh, I'm sorry, not hey, good afternoon, good morning. This is so-and-so, just calling to see the status of my application or where we are in the interviewing, in the hiring process. Okay. Any questions, comments? All right. So these are some of the things that we assist you with. All of our services are free to students and to alums. So once you graduate, you come back and we assist you. Okay. We have a 4-year checklist. That one is from freshman all the way to senior, just giving you tips on what you should be doing in your career journey throughout the school time. Of course, resume assistance, professional attire, career assessment. So in that, we have something called Focus to Careers. There's also ONET Online. So you're kind of not sure what you want to do. Like maybe there are like 5 things that you're great at and you want to go into all 5 of those things. The assessments can help you narrow down something that you can start with now, and then springboard into other things. There's career coaching. We have job fairs. Matter of fact, for CHSS, there is an internship and job fair coming up in October. So you can check your Jobs for Gators account. There's a QR code here for those of you that are in the room. If you want to scan it, those online, you can go to our website and you can click the link and activate your account there. Job search and internship search, we assist you with that as well. Networking opportunities, we invite employers on campus. There's opportunities for you to meet with them. And of course, interview preparation. We do operate by appointment. We have drop-in hours Monday through Thursday from 3 to 5. Those are a lot shorter. They're about 15 minutes. So if you do have a quick question, you can drop in either on Zoom or in person, or even call us if you have a question. Okay. This is our contact information. And again, we are located in the one main building, South 402. Right. Thank you so much, everyone. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Let's see, Veronica and Felicia, you're gonna come see me so I can give you your t-shirts. All right?
Okay, you said to be sure the main building in South 402.